In this YouTube ads guide, you're going to learn how to leverage the power of YouTube to drive targeted traffic to your website. Hey, I'm Jason, and if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for the latest in traffic and conversion strategies to help grow your business online. So in this video, we're going to be going click by click inside of the YouTube ads interface using Google Ads to put together this campaign. So we're going to go through the settings specifically you should have at the campaign level, what type of targeting is best to use, and then how to structure your ads so you actually drive traffic off of YouTube. There'll be a detailed timestamp table of contents in the description, along with links to some other videos to help you take a deeper dive into each one of these processes. Here, we're going to start at the very top, which is actually creating our campaign. So inside of your Google Ads interface, this is where you're actually going to be creating your YouTube ads. You're going to want to navigate to your campaign's home menu. Now, if you already have some campaigns set up, you'll see them listed here. If you don't, we've just blurred out ours for example purposes. Either way, you're going to want to click this giant blue plus button at the top to be taken to the new campaign interface. So here is where you're going to choose the settings of what your new campaign is going to be. And when it comes to video ads, specifically for YouTube, it's best to create a campaign without a goal. And this simply means you're going to have both hands on the steering wheel. All these other options, which you can go through and mouse over and see the different goals that Google sets up for you, essentially takes away some of your control. And this is just designed for people who have no idea what they're doing. But because you're watching this video, you have everything you need to actually control how Google decides to spend your money. So we'll go ahead and click on create a campaign without a goal, and then click on continue. Now here it's going to ask you what type of ad are you going to put together? Search, display, shopping, smart app. And of course, we're going to choose video and hit continue. Then these are all the different types of video ad formats. Go ahead and check out the links in the descriptions to some videos that take a deeper dive onto when and when not to use each one of these. Here, because we want to drive leads, we're actually going to use skippable in-stream ads. So we're going to select custom video campaign. And now we're actually inside of the campaign building interface. So we're going to walk click by click through each one of these settings, what's important and what's not, and the different options you have in terms of setting up your campaign for success. So obviously we got to start with a campaign name. I'll leave that up to you. Then the next two options we have are the bidding strategy and the budget and dates. So for the bidding strategy, we're actually going to leave it at cost per view. And under budget and dates, we actually don't want campaign total. So we'll click the drop down here and we'll go to daily. Now, essentially what daily means is it's telling Google how much money per day do you want to spend on this campaign. You can always change it in the future. You're definitely not locked in. So you can go ahead and put a start and an end date. What I typically recommend is having your end date a week or two out because Google will just keep spending your money. So unless you plan on checking this every other day, definitely put a 2-week end date, and you can always come back and change this. And this just makes sure, life happens. You might forget, something gets in the way. This makes sure that no campaign just keeps running on forever, and then you have this giant bill from Google that you didn't really want to deal with. So we'll leave it at maximum cost per view. That is, you're going to pay each time someone watches more than 30 seconds of your ad. We'll get to more on that when we're putting together our ad, and then we'll put a daily budget. This can be as low as $1, $1.50 a day, all the way up to hundreds of dollars a day. So I recommend starting in the $2.50 to $5 a day range because you may put together several campaigns as you're just getting started. So once we have our bidding strategy, once we have our budget and ideas, I should quickly note that cost per CPM is just paying per 1,000 impressions. Definitely not recommended. We'll go ahead and choose our networks, languages, and locations. These are the next three things as we scroll down. When it comes to networks, we want to show up in YouTube search results and YouTube videos. This is really much more important when it comes to running discovery ads. And those are the ads that pop up around YouTube. Because we're going to be putting together ads that only show up on an actual video in which someone is played, this isn't as important, but you just want to get in the habit of unchecking video display partners because we've never found any value in having that clicked. And we just want to make sure our videos are showing up only on YouTube. Languages, this is something that we actually typically skip. If it's very, very important or you're advertising in a country, region, or province that has a lot of different languages, then you might want to go ahead and specifically specify the language. For us, we like to use location targeting as a way of making sure we're targeting the right people as opposed to languages, because it's a lot easier for Google to know the right location than compared to the right language. And as we'll talk about when we get into targeting, the more targeted you try to be, the more you're ultimately going to pay. So let's go ahead and click on advanced search down here, and then you'll be able to bulk add locations. So this is where you can just type in the countries, regions, neighborhoods, states, provinces that you want to target, and then you can go ahead and click on search. And most of the time, Google's going to do a pretty good job of finding them. I forgot to say we do need to click bulk add locations. Radius targeting is something that's designed for local businesses, but even in that instance, I would actually go take the time, find all the zip codes in your local neighborhoods and target those, because as you go through looking at your location targeting data, it's always easier to analyze when you have a specific location as opposed to just a radius. So here they found all 26, so we can go ahead and click target all, or we could click exclude all. So I'm going to go ahead and click target all and then go ahead and click save. Now we have all of our locations in there and we're good to go to the next section, which is choosing our content exclusions. Now, this is something that other advertisers tend to disagree with us on, but we always go to expanded inventory. And that's because this particular section is designed for big brands who are really concerned about their brand equity and don't want their ads showing up on certain type of content. As a small business owner or entrepreneur, that's really not something we're worried about because we're targeting our ideal customers here. We're not really trying to judge them on what they're actually watching. But if you're really concerned about your ad showing up on something that is completely against what you and your business stands for, then you can go ahead and click standard or limited. Just know that when you go to these two inventories, you're going to pay significantly more than when you go to expanded, because the big brands, the advertisers with the big budget, they're clicking on limited, they're clicking on standard. And if you go to expanded, you're going to be able to still reach your ideal customer for a lot less cost. Now, the only other content exclusions options that we have here are excluded types and labels. Excluded content, we're skipping this because Google keeps saying they're going to phase it out. We don't know when. They've been saying that it's going to disappear for a year, but it's still there. So we're just going to skip it. And you want to make sure that you exclude all three of these types of content. And you can also come down here and exclude content not labeled yet. I typically uncheck this box, but we do have clients who are just really not comfortable with not knowing at all what the content is that their ads are showing up on. So you can leave that checked. Again, the more boxes you uncheck here, the cheaper your ads are ultimately going to be. So now we get into the additional settings, and these are all optional with the exception of one, and that's going to be devices here. So selective optimization and frequency capping and ad schedule are going to be important if you're spending a lot of money. And I mean a lot of money. So 9.9 out of 10 people really just don't even need to worry about this. If you're spending hundreds of dollars a day, then you might need to worry about frequency capping or starting to segment your conversions. But I'll go through these very briefly anyway. So up here, up top, inside of Google Ads, you can set up different types of conversions. And all these conversions are actions that happen on your website. So if you click choose actions for this campaign, and you can go through all your conversion lists and choose which conversions you want associated with this campaign. Now, this is again is an advanced strategy, so I typically don't recommend doing this. By default, Google is just going to track all the conversions for you. Again, this is if you're spending hundreds of dollars a day. Now, when it comes to devices and doing in-stream ads, we do want to make sure that we uncheck TV screens, because as of right now, if someone sees your ad on a TV screen, they're not going to be able to click through to your website. So we definitely want to make sure we uncheck this box. Now, with frequency capping, there's two different types. We have impressions and then we have views. Impressions is saying, hey, I don't want my ad to show up more than X number of times per day, week, or month. Whereas a view is counting more than 30 seconds of your video. So with views, you might want to make sure that someone isn't forced to watch your ad 5 or 6 different times in a day. Again, unless you're spending hundreds of dollars a day, you really don't have to worry about these. And impression frequency is going to be a much bigger deal doing discovery ads, which we're not going to be doing in this tutorial. Finally, we have ad schedule. So if you're running campaigns for your local business and you only want your ads showing up when you're actually available to take phone calls or your business is actually open, then this is going to be where you're going to want to do that. So with all of that out of the way, we're ready to actually finish our campaign. So at the bottom here, as we scroll down, you'll see that we'll actually have the ability to create our ad group. So we've gone through all the additional settings, and then we can scroll down to create our ad group, but we're actually going to skip it, and I'll show you why in a moment here. So we're going to go ahead and click on skip ad group creation. Do you really want to do this? This is an advanced thing. We recommend setting it up. Okay, Google, it's okay. We're going to go ahead and click skip, and then we'll go ahead and create our campaign. And it's going to give us a quick summary of all of our campaign settings. So we'll go ahead and click continue to campaign. And now our campaign is up, running, ready to go. I set the start date way in advance, so the status is going to be pending, and it's going to continue to be pending until the start date approaches or there's actually some ads that are ready to go. Now, I do want to show you where you can go to make any changes in the future. You can just click on settings here, and then everything we just went through is right here that can be changed at any time. So let's go ahead and actually make our ad groups. So we'll come back up here to our campaign. That is an open canvas. It's ready for our ads. It's ready for our ad groups. So let's go ahead and click on the giant blue plus button. And here we're actually going to start to talk about targeting, because this is where we actually start to make strategic decisions on who we're going to target with our ads. So going back to our diagram here, essentially what we've done so far is we've created this top part. We've created our campaign. We've chosen our location targeting, our budget. We've chosen the inventory type. That's where we did expanded or limited or just normal. We set our daily budget. And now it's time to talk about the actual people that we're targeting. Who are we going to be telling YouTube to go find so that we can put our ads in front of them and hopefully get them to click to our website? Now, there is a giant list of targeting options here. The main two, you can either target the people or you can target the content. Since we're trying to drive leads to our website, we're actually not going to target content. Content is using keywords, topics, and something called placements or other YouTube channels. And I will link up in the description below to a full-blown tutorial that walks you through all the details of the targeting and when not to use them, as well as how to combine multiple targetings to be even more detailed and find your ideal customers. Here, we're going to focus on the basics of people targeting using something called in-market audiences that I'll get to in a moment. So for the rest of this tutorial, we're going to focus on targeting people using demographic information and audience information. So let's go ahead and build our first sample in-market ad group, and we're going to start with demographics. So when you click the down arrow on demographics, you're going to see gender, age, parental status, and income. The only thing I recommend unclicking right here is going to be 18 to 24, simply because that typically represents a population who aren't ready to whip out their credit card if they even have a credit card yet. Now, obviously, if you have data on, or if your product is specifically for parents or for males or for females, then you can go ahead and start checking and unchecking boxes here. But if you have more than one gender or more than one parental status for your products, then I highly recommend just unchecking 18 to 24. Let the data come in, because Google will actually tell you as you run your ads which one of these audiences or demographics are actually converting and working, and then you can go ahead and start paying more money for them. Because again, the more boxes you uncheck here, the more you're going to pay per view. So once we have our demographics, it's time to go into audiences. So we'll click on audiences. We have a bunch of options. Again, link in the description to a video that goes through all of them. Let's just 80-20 here, go straight to in-market. Now, the reason I like using in-market audiences is in-market audiences represent people who are actively looking to buy a product or service. Google is doing their creepy thing, figuring out that these groups of people, all based upon their behavior, actually want to purchase something right now, as opposed to targeting content or other demographics where it's just kind of general interests or this is who the person is. Here, we're actually targeting people who want to buy something. Now, this is a very long list. Obviously, I'm not going to spend our time going through this, but what you want to do is scroll through all these options and find anywhere from 3 to 7 that you think represent your ideal customer, who your ideal customer would be. In our particular example, let's say we have a digital marketing agency service. We're going to be offering a free analytics audit. So we're going to target people who are looking for advertising and marketing services. Now, something that's very important is we're only going to have one in-market audience per ad group. So I'm only going to choose the one for now. And then I'm going to come up here and name the ad group in-market advertising and marketing services. And then I would go through this entire process again for each one of the in-market audiences I've identified that's going to be a good idea to test for our particular service. So the last thing we want to do is we've made sure we've got our demographics. We've chosen our one in-market audience here. So now it's time for our bid. Now, when it comes to the bid, you can start anywhere from 5 to 10 cents. I like to start on the conservative end, so I'll start at 5 cents. If I don't get any views or impressions, then I'll up it to 10 cents. But 5 to 10 cents is all you really need to get started. And in the future, you might pay 20 or even 30 cents, but you don't want to do that until you know which audiences and which ads are actually performing the best. But we'll get more into that when we talk about experimenting. So let's go ahead again. We're going to skip ad creation, and I'll show you why in a second. Yes, we're going to skip, and then we can go ahead and click on Save Ad Group. And now it's going to ask us, are we going to do a skippable in-stream ad or are we going to do a discovery ad? So the skippable in-stream ads, those are the ads that pop up automatically in front of a video. That's what we want to do to generate leads. When it comes to video discovery ads, those are the ones that just kind of show up around YouTube on mobile and desktop. So it's important that we choose the right one here because you can't change this. So we'll go ahead and click on skippable in-stream. We'll save the format, and then we will be taken back to our campaign where we can see we have our one ad group. So let's go ahead, click on our ad group and make our ad. Now, the process we just went through, you're going to want to do 3 to 7 more times, or 3 to 6 more times. And that is because you're going to want to create a individual ad group for each one of the audiences that you identify in the in-market section. Yes, there are plenty of other audiences. It's okay. Link in the description to a video that walks you through how to use those other ones. Here we just want to focus on in-market audiences and generating leads. So we'll go ahead and click on our ad group. We'll automatically be taken to the ad section. We'll click on the blue plus button again, this time to create our ad. So here, let's go back to our diagram. We just finished up the ad groups. This is where we're choosing who we're actually targeting. Now it's time to actually put together our ads, and we're going to want the same set of ads across all of our ad groups to easily test out which one of these audiences is actually performing the best. So let's go back into the interface. We'll go ahead and click the blue plus button, and we will paste in the URL of our ad. Now, because this is an in-stream ad, there's not a whole lot we need to do with our video. So we just need to say what page we want people to be driven to once they click the link in our ad, and then we get to set up a display URL. Now, what's important to note is the display URL needs to be the actual same URL as your final one. So if you're doing subdomains or if you're using another service to host your landing page or host your website, it does need to be the same URL for the final and the display. The next step is setting up your calls to action. So the call to action is the text that's going to be in the blue button here. And then the headline is going to be what replaces your channel title. So here we're just going to make a simple call to action of get it now because we're offering a free checklist, and the headline will just read free checklist. So you can see now how it shows up on a desktop device. And then if we go back, you can see how it will look on a mobile device. Now, something that's very important with your companion banner, you don't want to upload your own image. So the companion banner is what is going to show up on the right-hand side on desktop. And if you upload your own image, you're going to pay for every single view. Something that's really nice about using these in-stream ads as of the recording of this video is you only pay after someone has watched 30 seconds. So if someone watches 25 seconds of your ad and then decides, I'm going to skip it, you actually don't pay. If you upload your own image here, though, you're going to wind up paying for every single view or every single impression as opposed to people who've only watched 30 seconds. So that's very important to note. We'll go ahead and give our ad a name, and then we'll go ahead and click Save Ad. So now we have our first in-stream ad. If you have other versions of this particular ad, or you have some other ads that are driving traffic to the same page, then you can go ahead and add them here. It is important that all of your ads are driving traffic to the same page because you want all of your testing and results to be consistent. Now, the good news is you don't have to go through this process more than once for your ads, which is why I talk about creating all your ad groups and then coming in and creating your ads. So what you can do is you can click on this little box here and then come up here to edit and click copy, or Command C on a Mac, Control V on Windows, and then you will have copied the ads. You can select more than one ad. And once we have copied it, this little notification will come down at the bottom to let us know how many ads have been copied. And this paste icon will show up. This is going to be very important in a second to save us time. So let's hypothetically say we've already created our other ad groups, our other 3 to 6 ad groups. So we have no more than 7 in our campaign. We can come up here and click on the campaign name, and you'll see this little drop down. You can click through to all your campaigns, the campaign that we're in, or the actual ad group we're in right now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the actual campaign name and then click on ad groups to be taken back to our list of ad groups. So hypothetically, we have multiple ad groups here, and you see this paste button is actually still there, which is pretty cool. So we'd go ahead and click on this paste button. And once we do, a pop-up will show all of our campaigns and all of our ad groups. So all you'd have to do is select the campaign you want and then check off which ad groups you want the ads to be added to and click done. Here, I'm actually just going to go ahead and click cancel, but this is how you can quickly take all your ads and paste them into other ad groups. Now remember, you can only put in-stream ads in in-stream ad groups, and you can only put discovery ads in discovery ad groups. So you will have to create separate ad groups for each type of ad that you ultimately run. Here we're doing all in-stream, so you don't have to worry. I'm going to go ahead and click cancel, and we'll wrap up with how to build out the rest of your account. So building out the rest of your account is very simple. You're going to go through the ad group creation process another 2 to 6 times, and you want anywhere from 3 to 7 ad groups per campaign that are targeting specific in-market audiences. If you want to get more advanced, link in the description to that YouTube targeting video, and you want to keep those demographics consistent. So if you decided to target a specific gender or income bracket, then you want to make sure you check or uncheck those boxes across all your ad groups across your campaign. And then when it comes to experimentation, you want to make sure that you have at least 1,000 impressions minimum before you start making any changes to your ads. Ideally, you want 100 views per ad group before you start making decisions. So thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. And most importantly, you have a much better understanding on how to put together your first YouTube ads campaign to generate leads to your website. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for more digital deep dives just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.